In order to answer this question, let us take a look at the history of the church and its beliefs. This story begins with Joseph Smith, who was born in 1805 to a poor family of farmers from the state of Vermont. He grew up in rural New York during a time that historians call the Second Great Awakening, when a wave of religious enthusiasm swept over the U.S. Already as a boy, he wondered which of the many Christian denominations represented the true church. In 1820, when he was only 14, he had his first vision. God the Father and Jesus appeared to him and warned him not to join any of the existing churches because they were all false. Over the following years, he was repeatedly visited by an angel named Moroni. Moroni pointed to Smith to a hill near his home, where a set of golden tablets containing the religious record of an ancient American people was supposedly hidden. In 1827, he was finally allowed to retrieve the tablets along with 2 seer stones, which were to help him with their translation. He did so over the course of the next 3 years. In 1830, a first version of the Book of Mormon was printed. Shortly thereafter, Smith began to organize a new congregation. Like many other religious leaders of the Second Great Awakening, Smith preached that the end of the world and Christ's second coming were at hand. Therefore, his congregation was officially named the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. Also, like many other groups at the time, they believed that their mission was to build the New Jerusalem, a perfect community with a special relation to God, like the people of Israel in the Bible. But in many ways, the Mormons were also quite different. They were very tightly organized and recognized the absolute authority of Smith, who was revered as a living prophet. They practiced a form of Christian socialism. Much of the property of the group was communally owned. These features, as well as their unusual religious beliefs, frequently caused friction with the local population. Thus, the Mormon community had to move several times, always towards the thinly settled western frontier of the United States. In 1831, from Palmyra, New York to Kirtland, Ohio. In 1838, from Kirtland to New West, Missouri. And in 1839, from New West to Illinois, where they founded the city of Nauvoo. Nauvoo prospered, but problems were brewing. In 1844, a group of Mormons, dissatisfied with Smith's great power, started a newspaper in which they attacked him as a self-constituted monarch and exposed the fact that Smith was secretly practicing polygamy. Smith ordered his private army, the Nauvoo Legion, to destroy their printing press. As a result, Smith was put into jail and charged with treason against the state of Illinois. He ordered the Nauvoo Legion to attack the jail and free him, but the malicious commander disobeyed the order. A few days later, a mob stormed the jail and killed Smith. The death of the prophet left the Mormons in chaos. Most of them finally recognized Brigham Young as Smith's successor and new living prophet. In 1847, Young organized the last and most spectacular remove of the Mormons. Like Moses in the Bible's Old Testament, he led his chosen people through the desert and to their promised land. In the largest religious migration in U.S. history, several thousand believers traveled about 2,000 kilometers on ox carts and on foot to the site where their new Jerusalem was to be built, Salt Lake City, in the middle of the wilderness and far outside the boundaries of the United States. Here, they hoped, they would be free from outside interference and could build a state of their own, named Deseret, which would be a theodemocracy, both a democracy and a theocracy, in accordance with Joseph Smith's teachings. Their settlement became the core of the federal state of Utah, which until today remains the center of Mormon religion. It is a fantastic story, but not quite as fantastic as the story that is told in the Book of Mormon itself. Mormons regard the book as divine revelation on the same level as the Bible, which they also accept, or the Muslim Quran. Only a handful of Smith's closest associates ever saw the golden tablets from which the book was transcribed, because the angel Moroni took them back when Smith had finished translating them. It is a story about how America was settled, not, as most scientists today say, by nameless Asiatic peoples who migrated across the Bering Strait several 10,000 years ago, but in 587 BC by a group of Israelites led by the prophet Lehi and his son Nephi, who also was a prophet.